Welcome to Creating Equity and Inclusion on-set Protocols, a micro-learning video from Screen Access Alberta. This video is part of a series to help you foster more inclusion on-set for all types of screen productions. To learn more about Screen Access Alberta's commitment to diversifying Alberta's film and television industry workforce, visit our website at screenaccessalberta.ca/equity. On-set protocols are an easy way for you to codify expectations. When it comes to inclusion and equity, protocols set the conditions for cast and crew to agree on acceptable behaviors. How you build those protocols is just as important as what's in them. This video will help to explain what on-set protocols are, some best practices in creating them, and how to use them to make changes on sets across Alberta. On-set equity protocols are essentially a what-to-do guide for individuals and teams looking for practical, basic steps to create an inclusive, safe, and welcoming on-set working experience for diverse cast and crew members. Equity protocols include formalized policies and reporting mechanisms, ensure necessary skills are present when working with equity-denied groups, and inspire a culture of inclusion and safety. As outlined in other videos in this series, there is a lack of representation of BIPOC, queer, and other equity-denied groups working on film and television productions in Alberta. This is changing, but it's important to take deliberate steps to ensure individuals from these groups are welcome and safe to come to work on set. Research shows that the work of making inclusive spaces often falls historically to marginalized groups. For example, it's often left to Black creators to make space for other Black and BIPOC talent and crew. Working toward allyship means groups with power and privilege taking on the work of creating safe spaces for underrepresented groups. Foisting the work of educating people and creating safety onto already underrepresented people means they are pulled away from the work they are hired to do, and they end up holding the problem of denied access to privilege. This keeps the status quo in place. Low representation in the industry directly maintains the bias, microaggressions, and other problematic behavior that can show up on film and television sets. Having protocols in place to challenge and interrupt those behaviors and biases can make a big difference in creating inclusion and improve the on-set experience for everyone. This business works on network connections. We can end affinity bias by hiring people with backgrounds, skin tones, and life experiences that are different than us. This is how we open ourselves to broader networks and interesting outcomes. When a set is filled with people who look the same and maybe have similar life experiences, the cast and crew may not even realize the BIPOC or gender or sexually diverse cast or crew member might face. They might not think about how having men and women's washrooms or change rooms can exclude trans and gender diverse people, or how limited makeup options might affect cast members with darker skin. Language may exclude some people, or microaggressions may show up in ways that are mainly noticed by people affected by them. When we surround ourselves with people like us, we tend to assume everyone has similar experiences, because that is all we know. But diversity in workplaces brings multiple perspectives to light and uncovers bias and blind spots so we can fix them before they cause additional harm to people. Further, when we surround ourselves with people who look and live like us, we limit our creativity and our ability to tell truly compelling stories. Ensuring stories are authentic requires some degree of authentic experience with the story at hand. This means that we have more film and television sets that are not only less prone to bias and discrimination, but they also result in a better end product, which benefits everyone. The nature of the industry itself, outside of major productions, can often be small, informal, and lacking in policies or structure. That informal nature can also contribute to feelings of exclusion and harm. Informal sets and the habit of hiring through network can make raising issues challenging and risky. Freelance and casual work can mean employment and income stability is completely absent, and safeguards like occupied health and safety requirements may be missing. The push to complete filming in short timeframes can also mean a workplace without formal harassment and discrimination policies, or policies are not followed because getting the shot is more important than anything else. This is why protocols become incredibly helpful. Having an agreed upon protocol makes our intentions for inclusion clear so we can create more safely. Support and welcome a more diverse cast and crew and build more successful industry by building a sustainable workforce and making compelling stories that reflect the diversity of our world. So how do we make a good protocol? Because every production is different, there's no one size fits all solution, but there are some key elements to consider for any set. Start with a clear structure. State a clear goal, use words that folks understand, or share definitions and be specific. Use examples and cases to show how each part of the protocol should be implemented. For example, instead of saying avoid microaggressions, explain what a microaggression is and what it might sound like, and offer different language choices. Second, it's important to have buy-in. This means that the cast and crew are willing to accept the protocols and work according to them. Consider bringing draft protocols to department heads or key creatives on set, depending on the size of your production, to get their input. People feel more responsible to things they have helped create, and protocols are no exception. It is also important to align with the codes of ethics of various guilds, unions, and other professional associations to reduce confusion. If you can, use your protocols to advance for more industry-wide supports, such as formal reporting procedures for protocol breaches. And refer to the protocols in contracts too, so there's accountability right from the start. Next, the protocol should include an actionable inclusion plan. This plan would outline expected behaviors, the safeguards in place during on-set production, ways report concerns, and clarity about the next steps for when Vision 1 of the plan needs adjustments. Finally, be clear about the scope of the protocol. Ideally, the same protocols should apply to everyone on set: cast, crew, contractors, union, non-union, everyone. Make the time for everyone to participate in inclusive behavior, self-education, and reporting issues. A major challenge of equity work is expecting that BIPOC and queer folks will do the work of educating their colleagues, monitoring the worksite, and defending themselves and others against microaggressions and harassment. Expectations like this keep the burden on people who experience harm. To make change, the people who have traditionally perpetrated the harm need to do the work if inclusion of diverse people is really the goal. Everyone needs to see themselves in equity protocols, practices everyone has a role in upholding. One more point. These protocols need to be seen as a living document that will require regular refinement over time. It's impossible to imagine every scenario ahead of time. As a production evolves, so should its protocols. Make that possible by keeping time and space to reflect and report on successes and challenges, because these experiences should be included in how the protocols evolve. Protocol documents are most effective when they recognize and respond to people's intersectional identities. While we may write these documents specifically to address the unique experiences of BIPOC and 2S LGBTQ plus cast and crew members, some people will be both BIPOC and queer, or may have other identities that commonly experience barriers on set. We can't address every intersectional identity, but we can recognize that people experience the world in different ways based on their access to power and privilege. We can understand this and be prepared to adapt the document after it's done. After all, it's a living document meant to make lives better. For more information, check out the intersectionality microlearning in this series. Now that we know the how, let's talk about the what. What goes into a good onset protocol? First and foremost is to setting clear expectations of behavior. Everyone who will work on set needs to have a clear and common understanding of what is expected. Clear statements of expectations, such as a code of conduct, guiding values agreement, or including a commitment to the protocols in contracts. Setting and communicating these expectations shows commitment to inclusion and sets up everyone to work together successfully. The goal? To maintain a sense of safety and inclusion in all on-set workplaces. Protocols should go beyond a code of conduct that prohibits certain behaviors. They should also outline the behaviors expected on set, such as positive commitment to safety, inclusion, wellness, and camaraderie. This approach provides practical support to cast and crew and reminds everyone that safety and inclusion depend on conscious efforts to create a culture and space full of positive behaviors, spaces that are welcoming for everyone. As Angela Davis so eloquently put, in a racist society, it is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist. Next comes formal processes and structures. Besides wanting clear behavior expectations, your cast and crew will want and need to know what to do if something happens that doesn't align with those expectations. Who do they report the issues to? What are the consequences for unwanted behaviors? And how and when are the protocols revised? Can the cast and crew provide feedback on the protocols? Having a plan for how you will answer these questions will prepare you to be responsive, inclusive, and fair in the application of the protocols and support sustaining the environment you want to have on set. If folks are expected to align expectations, all cast and crew members need to have the necessary education and training so they can maintain and foster a safe and inclusive environment. This would include pre-production training on unconscious bias, microaggressions, how power shifts workplace dynamics, clear, practical, and tactical approaches to build inclusive sets, and what to do when safety has been compromised. Training should also include histories of diverse people in Canada. History helps us understand how and why safety protocols can respond to the complex social dynamics diverse people have faced and avoid stereotypes and assumptions about the needs or barriers different groups face. Finally, when looking to create real physical and psychological safety on set, make appropriate supports available, particularly when filming could cause specific harm to members of a historically marginalized group. For example, it can be helpful to have consultants on set who understand the potential power and historical dynamics at play, so the production avoids overused and troublesome stereotypes or cause harm to individuals. Similarly, the use of intimacy coordinators should be standard for all productions where intimacy is involved, and to keep mental well-being of all on set mental health supports should be in place, especially when filming may prove difficult for cast and crew members. Such scenes may include significant violence or ones in which someone's identity is at the core of the story. Screen Access Alberta has protocol templates available at screenaccessalberta.ca/equity, including a guiding values agreement that can help you get started on what makes the most sense for your production. Putting in place equity protocols can be a long, difficult activity. Launching and implementing the protocols will need as much reflection and care as the protocols themselves. Setting up and putting in place equity protocol will come with some costs, both in time and money. As the industry shifts to create more welcoming and inclusive spaces for all, these costs may be eligible for production assistance, easing that financial cost. There should be shared knowledge about where that financial assistance may be and how to secure it. Think about that information as part of developing the equity protocols. In addition, sharing protocols and adapting work from one production to another can be helpful for sharing knowledge, experiences, and supporting broad safety within the sector. Changing culture takes time, but every action creates an opportunity to know more and do better every time. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the onset protocols so you can promote better inclusion and safety at work. For more information, microlearning videos, and resources to help build inclusive onset experiences, visit the Screen Access Alberta website at screenaccessalberta.ca/equity.